Before he was Secretary of Transportation, a presidential candidate, or even the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg got his start working in finance. After graduating from Harvard and Oxford, Buttigieg took up a job as an analyst at McKinsey in 2007, making about $150,000 a year. The job needed him to be on the road during the week, so eventually he moved back home to South Bend, where he bought a fixer-upper home for $125,000 in 2008. Buttigieg eventually grew tired of consulting and made his way into politics with a failed run for Indiana state treasurer. The campaign burned through much of his life savings. But Buttigieg wasn't done with politics yet. While earning just $7,000 in 2011, he mounted a campaign for the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and won. Mayor Pete, as he'd become to be known, took office on January 1st, 2012, and once again was making a steady salary, making $107,000 and $116,000 the following 2 years. Then in 2014, Mayor Pete, who was also a Navy reservist, was deployed to Afghanistan to serve in intelligence. His mission was working with a unit to block drug funding for insurgents. That year, he took a pay cut, earning $46,000. He returned to South Bend 7 months later, where he reclaimed office and eventually married his husband, Chasen Glesman, a junior high teacher at the time. In the early days of the 2020 presidential campaign, the Buttigiegs were estimated to be worth about $100,000. But as Mayor Pete's campaign and the national profile grew, so did their fortune, with the couple bringing in over $1 million, according to Forbes estimates. Pete published his first book in 2019, earning him $75,000 in advances and just over $400,000 in pre-tax royalties. His next book, published 7 months after he dropped out of the race, earned him over $300,000 in advances, with at least $100,000 more to come. Before joining President Biden's cabinet, Pete took a number of smaller gigs. He was first brought on as a fellow at Notre Dame, earning $37,000 in 6 months before signing on as a podcast host at iHeartRadio for a minimum guaranteed payment of $150,000. Chasen also wrote a book and sold over 20,000 copies after quitting his job as a teacher. The Buttigiegs also bought a lakeside vacation home in Traverse City, Michigan for $415,000, taking out a $332,000 mortgage in the process. Now, as the transportation secretary, Pete earns over $200,000 a year. Settled in D.C., he sold his South Bend home 3 months ago for $310,000, more than double his initial investment. Forbes estimates conservatively that the Buttigiegs are now worth at least $750,000.